Hi guys, this is gsnom.com and I'm here with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. It's such a detailed review that we actually have two versions of the phone. This is the Exynos dual SIM one with 6GB of RAM. This is the Snapdragon one with 8GB of RAM and a beautiful lilac color. Now the phone was announced in August and the price tag it has right now is around $1,174. I know it's hefty, but you're getting the best that Samsung has to offer right now. The phone basically is two things. It's a stylus update. You know, this little guy here has been updated with its own battery and Bluetooth, and also a camera update, getting some of the perks of the Galaxy S9 Plus. That's it in a nutshell, and the colors are blue, black, purple, and also a silver, which came recently. Now let's talk about the design. As you can see, we have the blue version with a yellow stylus, and also this pink, or better said purple version, which is, to be honest, gorgeous. This is definitely one of the big phones, one of the heavy phones. It got a 6.4-inch screen, which is 0.1 inches bigger than the predecessor, and it also has grown. I said before last year that the Note 8 was very narrow for its size. Well, the Note 9 isn't very narrow. This one measures 8.8 millimeters in thickness and weighs 201 grams, while the predecessor measured 8.6 millimeters in thickness and weighed 195 grams. Still, it has pretty good grip considering the large amount of glass you're actually grabbing onto. I would say the grip is admirable. And here we got the power button, which offers good feedback. Here we have the volume button and the Bixby button, all of them working pretty fine in my view. And I'm talking about feedback, of course. This feels more serious. The Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus were a bit more playful. This is clearly a business and enterprise oriented phone. It's a bit harder to wield. In landscape, it's perfect for gaming and watching videos, so there's that. IP68 resilient to dust and water. It's huge, it's sexy, it means business, but it's not exactly for everyone. If you're a girl with a tiny hand, you may even end up dropping this phone because, once again, not as coolly narrow as the predecessor. Now, I also want to show you this one here, the Snapdragon version. You can see the beautiful purple, and even if you're a guy or a girl, somehow this purple will attract you. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it manages to attract everyone. So glass at the back curved, glass at the front curved. The design is sexy, but once again, not for everyone thanks to how massive it is. On the screen front, we are dealing with a familiar package. It's Super AMOLED, of course. What else could it be? It's a 6.4-inch panel here, and the resolution is 2960 over 1440, plus Samsung uses the already famous Infinity display, which is basically 18.5 to 9 aspect. They also throw in a bunch of other fancy names. They got HDR10 support, they got Gorilla Glass 5 protection, and just as a comparison, the predecessor had a 6.3-inch screen and this one 6.4 inches. You'll not actually feel the difference, well, except for the weight a little bit. Now, the actual viewing experience is going to be put to work by me right about now, and let's go to our typical test video. Okay, so I'm going to have to enlarge it, and you can clearly see that we're getting some very vivid colors, nice immersiveness on account of the curved edges of the screen, excellent brightness, contrast, wide view angles for sure, a deep black, typical for an AMOLED, and once again vivid colors. And this player here offers you the option to make GIFs. You have pop-up play and a variety of other things. Overall, I'm pretty impressed by how the screen is behaving, and believe me, you can see here the things I've played. I've played Free Fire Battlegrounds, I've played Fortnite, so I know what I'm talking about, and I'm actually enjoying the screen experience. Now, we also did other tests, more serious and ample ones. We put the screen under the microscope and came up with this pixel arrangement. It's a pentile matrix arrangement. And also we measured the brightness, achieving a top level of 460 lux units, which is excellently distributed on all of the surface, being pretty uniform and bright. So no objections for the screen. Yes, I know there are phones out there that go up to 700 lux, but this one is sufficient and it didn't offer any problems with the contrast for me. It beats the Galaxy S9 Plus, which had 453 lux. It beats the iPhone 7 Plus, HTC U11, Huawei Mate 10 Pro, but scores below the iPhone 10 by about 300 lux. Also below the Huawei P20 Pro and the OnePlus 3. Now you're going to have to find a lot of action here in the display department. So we got your brightness, you got your auto brightness, blue light filter, you got your font options, you got your zoom options, a lot of stuff to do to tweak your experience. There is a screen mode, actually several: adaptive, AMOLED cinema, AMOLED photo, and basic, plus full screen color balance with cool and warm, and a bunch of well, RGB slider thingies, which I'm not recommending you to mess with. You can actually tweak the resolution. I left it Full HD plus, but you can go crazy with WQHD plus. This actually saves you some battery juice. Home screen settings, the grid, the layout, and so forth, portrait mode or landscape mode. Let's see what else. Easy mode, icon frames, edge screen, which is basically this part here, which you can pull from and interact with shortcuts. I've been seeing it ever since the Galaxy S6 Edge, and I'm actually pretty bored with it. Screen timeout, status bar, navigation bar, and there's also something called video enhancer, which is here and makes videos pop out a bit more, as if they didn't already. Now you also have the always on display, which can be accessed here. You can show the clock, you can show several other things, contact information, notifications, app shortcuts. Here we have the clock styling and more tweaks, and you can even show a picture or cute GIF of sorts. It's basically this one. Without using up too much power, you can see the vital info with the always on display. In a nutshell, a pretty solid screen. And now let's go further to the other hardware from the Galaxy Note 9. Now we have the Exynos 9810 version, but also the Snapdragon 845 version. This one has 6 gigabytes of RAM, this one has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and both have micro SD card slots. One of them has 128 gigabytes of storage, and the other one has 512 gigabytes of storage, which is enough for everyone to shoot full concerts in 4K. The GPUs are Mali G72 MP18 and Adreno 630. Obviously, as you may have deduced already, we're dealing here with a handset that suffers from zero lag. It's actually stranger to the word lag. It doesn't suffer from lag. It runs games in excellent fashion. Fortnite, we threw that at it. We update multiple things. We scribbled around. We messed around with YouTube, and not once have we experienced overheating or lag or freezes. And once again, we did a ton of updates, everything that came, and no problem. So you'll suffer from zero lag here, believe you me. Now, when it comes to the benchmarks, we got Antutu and so forth, but before that, we usually take you to a gaming session, and games happen here. You know, Riptide GP Renegade is the title we're using to try out the device, but we also played Fortnite, and we also played Free Fire and the PUBG and Asphalt 9, and the list goes on and on. But this has been our test game for a while now. We're faithful to it. Rest assured, if it runs Fortnite brilliantly, it can run anything else like a champ. Don't worry about this aspect here. It's easily tweaked from the settings. You can go full screen with ease from the settings. Okay, nice graphics, pretty nice frame rate, no objection here. Nice lighting and shadows, so everything is crisp and clear when it comes to gaming. And if you really want a review or to check out our experience, you can find a Fortnite video on our sister channel Android Pipe. I played the Fortnite on this Galaxy Note 9. Now, I promised you benchmarks, didn't I? Let's see how that goes. Go to the gallery. We got a huge amount of screenshots, and actually we have a two-pronged approach. So we also have this one, this Snapdragon baby. I didn't forget about it. Let me start with the Antutu ones. So we did the old Antutu, you know, the Antutu 6, and let's see if we can actually find the result. Bunch of spoilers here for future tests. This was the Antutu 7. And here we go, we got Geekbench, and here we are finally. This is Antutu 6, and here we beat the Galaxy Note 8 by only 3k points, basically 3000 points. We beat HTC U11 but scored below the Nokia 8 and the Galaxy S9 Plus. Not very relevant, it's an old benchmark, but in Antutu 7 interesting things happen. First of all, this is the result: 241,000 points. Beats the Huawei P20 Pro, Nokia 8 Sirocco, scores below Galaxy S9 Plus and the OnePlus 6, and also, surprisingly, below the Galaxy Note 9 with its 8 gigabytes of RAM and also with its CPU. As you can see here, there's a difference of about 40k points. Once again, this one has 2 extra gigabytes of RAM and also Snapdragon 845, and this one has Exynos. And as you can see, the biggest difference is in the graphical department. Here the GPU is 96,000 and here it's actually 126,000. It's pure GPU raw power. Now let's go further. I'm going to address now the Geekbench 4. As usual, we focus more on the multi-core test, see what that's like, and here we go. Now the difference here is pretty clear, and it's actually in favor of this one this time. The Exynos one wins 19,060 over 8577, and the single core test is actually much better here for some reason. So I would say mixed results between the two, not very relevant on account of different RAM, but anyways, this score you see here helps this device achieve a multi-core result above the Galaxy S9 Plus, OnePlus 6, HTC U12 Plus, its hardcore rivals, and it also beats the Galaxy Note 9 Snapdragon version. Still, somehow scores below the famous, surprise, Pocophone F1, also below the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10, so no need to neglect the Pocophone when buying stuff. Now, if you want to talk about Slingshot and other things, we did Slingshot benchmarks, and those ones we beat the Galaxy S9 Plus, Nokia 8, but scored somehow below HTC U12 Plus and Xperia XZ2. So basically, I would say the performance is quite high, although not exactly the undisputed champion, because as you saw, the iPhone 10 sometimes beats it, and also the Galaxy S9 Plus, and also this one here, the Snapdragon version. So you will not be able to feel the difference in real life usage, rest assured, but these benchmarks are for the so-called specs junkies and specs aficionados. Okay, now if you're wondering about the temperature, we also tested that thing. And let's see what happens there. So we did two temperature tests. This one here showed us 40.5 degrees Celsius. This is actually the GFX bench test. You can see Samsung pushing the results to get them better, almost overheating but not there, so no worries. It has a big heat pipe, generous heat pipe, and this is the gaming temperature, 34.3 degrees Celsius, so zero problems with overheating. Okay, so my mission is done here with the purple one. Let's put it to rest and try to focus better on the Exynos one. So we're done with the temperature, generous heat pipe, zero overheating. And now when it comes to the battery life, we have here a 4000 mAh unit, which is already impressive, unless you've seen the Huawei P20 Pro, which has its own 4000 mAh battery. And keep in mind that the Galaxy Note 8 before this one had a 3300 mAh battery. Okay, so we got wireless charging, we got fast charging, and we also have a pretty kick-ass video playback time. Don't have to believe me, but we actually do. Here we go. Check this time out. 15 hours, 56 minutes. Crazy amount of time to play video. It's above Huawei P20 Pro, Galaxy S7 Edge, Xperia XA2 Ultra, scores below the Motorola Moto Z Play, Blueboo S3 and the AllView P9 Energy, which have been on top for a long while now. We also did a PC Mark test, one that simulates continuous usage. You can easily chalk it up to, I don't know, gaming. Now in PC Mark we scored 10 hours and 43 minutes, which is pretty solid. Beats Galaxy S8, Pocophone F1 and also Galaxy Note 8. Somehow it scores below the Huawei Mate 9, Xiaomi Mi 6 and the Huawei P20 Pro, which is still very solid to this day. Now when it comes to the charging experience, you will need only 1 hour and 52 minutes to charge the phone. It's not impressive. I've seen the Asus Zenfone 5Z and the OnePlus 6 scoring times of almost 1 hour of charging, and this one almost 2 hours, so at least it beats the HTC U12 Plus. The best thing about it, after 1 hour of charging, you get 70% juice on this phone. Now, of course, there are extra settings for the battery. So let's try and find them. You go here, device maintenance, you go to battery, and you got three main modes. There is a power saving mode, which can be set off, mid or max. Each of them has a bunch of sub settings related to the speed, always on display and so forth. And the max one takes you to a more limited interface. You can see it here, it's all black with a few icons, and you can get a bunch of days of usage, actually something like the promise of 3 or 4 days. That's it in a nutshell, with advanced settings as well, power monitors, fast cable charging, overall a very good battery, nothing to object about, maybe except for the charging compared to the rivals. Now let's talk about the acoustics. So the Samsung Galaxy S9 inaugurated the dual speakers for Samsung, and the A Note 9 continues in the same tradition as the S9. So we have dual speakers here, stereo ones. There's one here at the bottom and one here at the top. They're working together with AKG tuning and Dolby Atmos 3D sound. Now, we don't have the music app pre-installed. You can get it from Samsung's own app store, and I recommend you do because it has nice features. But we relied on good old Play Music. But rest assured, we still have those very cool equalizer settings, and as usual Samsung has a ton of them. So we go to the settings, to go to equalizer, and here we are. We got Dolby Atmos, we got an equalizer with these options: normal, pop, classic, jazz, rock, and custom. You got two knobs for extra bass and treble, or extra instrument or vocal, or you can tweak these 9 channels to your liking. We got upscaling, UHQ, Tube Amp Pro, Concert Hall, and Adapt Sound to find the best sound for you. You can also input your age and do some tuning. Okay, so now let's actually listen to some music and see what the experience is like. Okay, one thing to mention: if you hold the device in landscape mode, you will not cover the speaker. You actually won't. As you can see here, it's left alone by my fingers. Now, the actual experience is the following. The bottom back of the phone vibrates quite a bit. I'm satisfied by the reasonably loud volume. I would say only reasonable. I've heard much better than it. The bass is okay. There's no distortion. The earpiece kind of lacks bass, but that's compensated by the speaker here. The high notes are okay. I love the guitar and I love the voices, but I have to say it again, it's not the loudest combo of speakers I've ever seen. Now about the headphones, if you've seen the headphones for the Galaxy Note 8, S8, S9, well, these ones will feel very similar in looks, in feel, and in experience. This is it. They're branded AKG, which I looked up online, and apparently it's an Austrian company. You can see they're slightly inclined to better fit in the ear. They're very comfy and they isolate the noise around you perfectly. That's all I can say. And also they have a decent bass, but they could be louder, just like the speakers of the handset. Okay, as usual, we measure things in decibels. We have a decibel meter, and let's see what came out of that measurement. First of all, 84.4 decibels. This result was achieved at the bottom of the phone, and it manages to equal the Galaxy S7 Edge, surpass the Xiaomi Mi 6 and the Nokia 8, but go below the Huawei P20 Pro and the iPhone 8. Meanwhile, if you're going for gaming, this value was achieved, by the way, with our typical acoustic sample. And if you're going for gaming, as I said before, here we go, you should be able to reach around 93.5 decibels. That's the value we reached when gaming. And with that result, we're able to score at around the 60th spot in our top 200. Not very impressive, but as I said before, not the loudest experience. So 93.5 decibels, it goes past the Galaxy S8 and Xperia XZ2, scores below the iPhone 8 and Galaxy Note 8 by 6 decibels. So it's actually below the Galaxy Note 8 by about 6 decibels. Now you saw the headphones, that's the experience. I have to admit, I expected more volume, but I'm satisfied with the bass. Okay, time to talk about the camera. So in a nutshell, very similar to what we had on the Note 8, but with some attributes from the Galaxy S9 Plus. It's a combo of 12 and 12 megapixel. Each of them has optical image stabilization, and we also have variable aperture for the main camera, basically going from f1.5 to f2.4. We got 2x optical zoom, we got an LED flash right here, and f1.7 for the second camera. There's super slow motion, and at the front an 8 megapixel shooter to take selfies. There's bokeh for both cams, both sets of cams, so basically you can take portrait shots. There's also AI, which can trigger about 20 modes, and there's also something called flaw detection, and even some Disney emojis. Now the camera UI looks like this, exactly the same as we saw on the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. You got this vertical scrolling mechanism to switch between options. You got live focus, you got the pro mode, you got auto, you got super slow-mo, you got AR emoji, and a bunch more features here. You can go here, and the interesting bit, the new stuff, is the scene optimizer, which is new. You can detect, as you can see here, many scenes: food, portrait, flowers, concerts, animals, landscape, greenery, trees, sky, mountains, a lot of them. It's actually not concerts but rather indoor scenes, so a lot of stuff thanks to the aid of the AI. Now the actual experience was satisfying: very fast picture taking, very fast focus, and pretty accurate focusing and pretty fluid zoom. Now we're done with talking. Let's actually see some results, and we have a crazy 475 pictures taken with this single device. I'm going to start off with those taken during the day, and here we go. So first things first. Now if you go back and look at the Galaxy S9 Plus, you'll notice that every once in a while it pulls off some unrealistic colors, especially in the sky area. The Galaxy Note 9 fixes that. So on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 the sky looks realistic. Many of you coming from an iPhone, coming from other phones, will feel that these colors are muted. They're cold, they're not realistic. They're actually very realistic. They're closer to the human eye perception than other phones, and not many phones have been able to handle this scenery with the sun in the clouds in front of a shadier area. So dynamic range is basically perfect on this phone. A few more shots here, and this time we're playing with the zoom. Actual distance, 2x zoom, or actually going to 3x. This is 4 or 5x, and this is actually 10x. No, this is 10x, and I would say not bad. It's no Huawei P20 Pro, but it's getting there. Now on the selfie front, at first I was actually disappointed because the background behind me is burnt, actually seriously burnt, and the face looks more like a doll. But then I messed around, I wiped the lens and achieved some, I would say, pretty good selfies. And talking about the face texture and the skin texture, but once again not as many details as I've seen on one of those 24 megapixel selfie shooters out there. So this one among the flagships probably will barely catch top 10, to be honest. It doesn't feel like a top 5 material. Look at this selfie. I know you'll say that the textures okay, the face, the skin, the hair, the colors, but once again I've seen better than this on other phones. But frankly speaking, if you go back to the Galaxy Note 8, I was underwhelmed by its selfies, so it's actually a bit of a progress. Let's not forget about the more colorful stuff and also the landscape shots, which are actually not bad. You can go here for the details, and for a 12 megapixel camera, I would say we're getting a lot of details. The colors are much better calibrated than the Huawei P20 Pro, which, as you know, has a problem with the green. Here I was happy with the reds, the yellows, the blues, the pinks, what have you. Perfect color and perfect clarity all the time, and you can go in very close for close-ups. If you remember, a few years ago you couldn't do that, maybe with some Sony phones, but that's about it. So I feel that compared to the Galaxy S9 Plus, so we achieved more realistic colors here. Some people perceive them as colder, but for me it feels like a bit of an upgrade. Here you can switch from wide angle to close up, so you can switch between cameras, as I'm doing right now. Two pretty impressive results. Okay, so we've barely scratched the surface because we have a lot of shots. Here there was sunlight straight ahead of us and no problem with the dynamic range. I was always happy with the HDR, the color calibration, what have you. And here we have another bunch of daytime shots. Perfect focus, dynamic range, clarity, and I would say it again. For people coming from an iPhone to this phone or from an older Samsung phone, they will be shocked by the fact that the colors are colder. They're actually more realistic. That's what you're getting here. You have a huge amount of shots. You'll see them all in the text to review. And till then, we have some verdicts. So this beats the Galaxy S9 Plus color-wise. They're calibrated better. Now, I would say it also beats the Xperia XZ2 because it burns less. Actually, not at all. It also beats the Huawei P20 Pro because it has better colors, and also I would say it's the equal of the iPhone 10 and HTC U12 Plus in clarity, and also in details maybe, while the zoom is good, is not exactly on par with the P20 Pro. So overall, top 3 material for 2018 for sure during the day. Let's go to the nighttime capture, see what happens there. First of all, of course, it's obviously very bright. We saw that on the Galaxy S9 Plus. We know what the variable aperture does. everything is very solid. I have a bit of a doubt regarding the flash. It kind of drowns the image in white. Yes, I know it makes everything appear like in the daylight, but there's a bit too much white for my liking. That's one objection. In general, I'm happy with the clarity, the size of the streetlight halos, the level of yellow. There is no artifacts here. There is no weird purple, no weird blue, no weird orange. And in the end, I would put this on par with the Galaxy S9 Plus and the iPhone X, but there is grain in the finer details. You can tell you're dealing with a 12 megapixel camera. I mean, yes, you do have some pretty good details, but better megapixel count will surely matter. So overall, while this is a good phone, it feels a bit below the Huawei P20 Pro and also the Google Pixel 2 XL during the night. It delivers excellent results, but it has a bit of work to do to achieve those extra little bit of details and maybe even some extra brightness compared to the Huawei P20 Pro and the and the Google Pixel 2 XL. Keep in mind, when I'm talking about differences, I'm talking about small differences, something like 10 or 15%, something that the average user will not even notice. So overall, photo-wise, this camera is a top 5, if not even a top 3 material this year, but if you strictly talk about Instagram, clarity and colors, is definitely worth even for number 1. Now, as far as the video is concerned, let's see what we got here, and this time I'm going to resort to the MX Player Pro in order to enjoy our videos. As you can tell, we have a huge amount of clips. It's actually, let's see, 27 videos. We're dealing here with Full HD, MP4, 14 mega per second and 30 frames per second. And we start off with the optical image stabilization. And this is the test I did. I was walking around, descending a set of stairs, and guess what? Things looked great. There is no flicker in the image, there is no weird refocusing, there is no vibration of the image. So if you want stabilization, this is the phone for it. And I could have actually predicted that because the Note 8 was also great in that regard. Aside from shooting Full HD, we can also shoot 4K and even 4K at 60 frames per second. So stabilization checks out. This is a video shot using the front camera. It actually looks pretty impressive. I'm talking about the texture of the face, the clarity, the brightness. I know the background is a bit burnt and not very clear, but it actually kind of highlights my face, and I love the way it stabilizes. Of course, electronically, but it's quite good for vloggers, even though I have to admit, I feel like I've seen better. Okay, and now we did a bunch of tests in order to get a proper super slow motion, and we actually got one here. A perfect picture of a water drop breaking, and that's pretty impressive. Of course, we also have some other shots, like at some point there's this guy walking around and I can actually see a bumblebee flying around here, or a bee in super slow motion, and that's more impressive than the thing. Okay, we have a huge amount of videos, as I said before. There's a lot of stuff to look at. We have super slow-mo, we have 4K, and we have some of the best colors around. Definitely much better than the colors you've seen on the Huawei P20 Pro. No more burnt green, perfect reds, yellows, perfect exposure change. Perfect is a word you'll be hearing often. I would even go as far as to say that Samsung has replaced Sony for now when it comes to having the best video shooter out there. Okay, one more video with some colors. Loving the microphone, by the way, an excellent way of hearing all the birds around, the people chatting. And of course, I have a feeling this will be a great handset for concerts. I've actually seen some videos on YouTube and it catches the songs in a perfect manner. By the way, excellent zoom, as if things weren't good enough already. Okay, so these are the shots. These are taken during the day, and this is a Full HD 60 frames per second video. You can see a guy kayaking. I would say top 3 2018. I would even go as far as to say is the best video taking handset on the market. And also I went back and looked at the HTC U12 Plus. It's actually the equal of the HTC U12 Plus. It burns the image less than the Xperia XZ2. It has excellent optical image stabilization. It beats the iPhone X in that regard. It beats the Huawei P20 Pro in colors. So basically the whole battle for the whole year 2018 is between this phone and the HTC U12 Plus. That's my opinion so far. And once again, possibly the best microphone you've seen. Now, in low light conditions, this is what we're getting. I know there are some reflections. I know street light halos are big, but the street lights of the car are actually quite nice. There is no motion blur, there is a pretty decent amount of zooming without getting grain, so that's nice. Okay, another low light video should be this one here, where we actually walked around a bit. Stabilization remains pretty solid and pretty good. But the only thing that bothers me is maybe the quantity of reflections that we have here, and the fact that I feel that there are some other phones which catch a brighter image. For example, HTC U12 Plus catches a brighter video, but also it's too yellow, it's too brightly lit somehow. And also I feel that the Xperia XZ2 is a bit superior during the nighttime, and keep in mind this is summer. The Xperia XZ2 caught a blizzard in the winter and actually handled it better. I feel that the stabilization is better here compared to the Galaxy S9 Plus, at least in low light conditions. So these are the conclusions regarding the camera. We are done. If you want to talk about the browser, I always like to show you the pre-installed internet browser, the one called Samsung Internet. So let's go ahead and access gsnhome.com, which is a good way of actually getting to see this generous keyboard, generously spaced with its very own numeric row, and I have to say, one of my favorite keyboards. Here we go, gsnhome.com, loading up pretty fast. And I would say that the browser results, the benchmarks are, well, to put it mildly, modest. I've seen better on other phones. I'm pretty sure that the latest iPhones are able to double the score in SunSpider. On the connectivity front, we have here a dual SIM unit, in case you're wondering, and there is a hybrid SIM slot here. If you pop this up, you'll see there are two slots. One is bigger, you can put a nano SIM in it, or a micro SD, and the other one is strictly for the nano SIM. So there are single SIM and dual SIM versions of the phone. We got an USB Type-C 3.1 port at the bottom. There is the audio jack. There are a bunch of microphones. There's 4G LTE category 18. There's ANT+, Wi-Fi A, B, GN, AC, MU, MIMO, Bluetooth 5.0, NFC, and boy, do I have to catch my breath. Whew! GPS, GLONASS, and Beidou as well, plus Galileo. And the calls were loud and clear. At least from what I experienced, and I love the natural tones of the voices. Now, putting that aside, we also did a bunch of speed tests, and let's see what that produced. First of all, amazing Wi-Fi download speed, 466 megapsecond downloads, wow, and 56.6 megapsecond. Nope, that's 4G, excuse me. So 466 megapsecond downloads on Wi-Fi, which is solid. 25.1 megapsecond uploads on Wi-Fi. Well, I've seen better, to be honest. And when it comes to 4G LTE, 114 megapsecond downloads and 56.6 megapsecond uploads. And here we're doing fine. But that download speed on Wi-Fi, oh boy, that's crazy. And here we are finally in the software department. Of course, where else would you see the features of the new S Pen? And here we have the golden S Pen, which you're going to learn about in a minute or so. So we're running on Android Oreo 8.1 with Samsung Experience 9.5 on top, and it's basically an experience that combines what you saw on the Galaxy S9 Plus with what you saw on the Galaxy Note 8. We got here the Bixby special home screen, which aggregates useful info. We got themes, we got the weather, frequently used apps, the game launcher, we got Facebook, we got LinkedIn, and a bunch of other useful things. You can actually add or delete some of the cards here. There's a lot of stuff to do. These are the cards. You can add more. You can add CNN, Facebook, LinkedIn, music, Spotify, Foursquare, and the list goes on and on. Now, Bixby itself is lagging behind Google Assistant and Siri. I would even say it lags behind Cortana and Alexa. So let's try something like sing me happy birthday. Oh, here we go. Sing me happy birthday.
Here's a special gift to go with your special day. Happy birthday.
Okay, so it can handle singing that. Let's try one more thing. What's the weather like?
Fair with temperature around 56 degrees.
Now, as you can see, the voice is more robotic and the answers are a bit slower than Google Assistant provides. I know it feels something like, let's say, Siri 3 years ago or something like that. It's getting there, but it has a bit of work to do before it reaches the higher profile assistants. Okay, now that we're done with Bixby, let's see something else. So for multitasking, you got the carousel, and we have a lot of apps. So you can do split screen, and I'm going to do split screen here for the settings, and also for the let's see, Play Store. You can actually resize your windows, or 2/3 or 1/3. You can actually have this in landscape as well. So productivity overload delivered as promised. Okay, and as usual, you can also do interactions between the windows. You can swap them, you can overlap them, and increase your productivity by opening up multiple windows. And that's only one of the things here. So if you keep pressed on the home screen, you'll get your usual treatment of wallpapers, themes, widgets, and home screen settings. Widgets are pretty straightforward. White background, very clear and aired out interface. Samsung put a lot of emphasis on being very clean with the interface over the past years. These are the themes. You can also get new always on displays. Some of them are pretty cool, to be honest. And here we have the home screen settings for the grid, app layout, and so forth. Okay, so here we are. Now we're in the drop down section. So we go here, drop down, you can see notifications, and the useful quick settings are here. Power saving, flashlight, Wi-Fi calling, that's a thing, it's available. We got S Pen remote, edge lighting, and smart view and secure folder is also important if you want to store your stuff separate so your, I don't know, wife doesn't see it. Now, if you go to the settings, you'll tweak a lot of things. Luckily, we have a search to go through them. So connectivity, sound and vibration, notifications, and we also have display, wallpaper and themes, advanced feature. There's the S Pen, got the S Pen remote, which is new, you'll see it in a minute. Screen off memo, air view, direct pen input, floating icon, open air command. And then we have the games with the game launcher, keeps games together, it arranges them there and gives you a sort of do not disturb feature. We got smart stay, we got one hand use, fingerprint gestures, so you can do a swipe on it to pull down the notification panel, quick launch the camera by double pressing the power button, and a bunch more palm swipes, gestures. SOS is an important feature as well, so you can press the power key quickly 3 times to send a quick alert if something really bad is happening to you, God forbid. Okay, device maintenance, apps, lock screen, and here we are. Let's talk about security for a bit. So there are various methods here. So you got a fingerprint scanner, it's placed at the back, just a bit more comfy than it was last year. Let's give it a go. Secure it with a pin. Okay. Now register your print. The phone vibrates a lot when I'm doing that, in a pretty gaming-like manner. It feels like my PlayStation 4 joystick. Now we can try it out. Put the finger here. Back in the Note 8 days, the phone would slip because you have to put your finger here and would slip a bit. Now, let's see how fast it unlocks. Put the finger here. You're all set. Let's do it again. Pretty straightforward. Okay, now let's put that aside and let's give the special other options a go. So we go here. I'm going to remove the fingerprint. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we go, edit, remove, and now you can opt for face recognition or the iris scanner, or maybe combine both. So pin time, smarter way to verify. I am not wearing glasses. Here we go. My face has been scanned. Finally, 100%. Okay, be sure to look into the screen. I kept looking down at the camera, to be honest. Turn on, and here we go. Not as fast as the Zenfone 5Z or the OnePlus 6, but it's there. It's extra secured with your iris and your face. And here we go. That was the security feature. Okay, so I guess it's time to show you something else. Since we're talking faces, go to the camera and you can trigger your cute AR emojis. I know you've seen them on the Galaxy S9, but hey, let's try to give it a go. So I can create my very own version of emoji, and it's actually blurred, and I want to take it again. Okay, that's a bit clearer. I'm going to pick this one next, and let's see what happens. And my digital representation is this guy here. You can actually create a pack of icons to be used in your messaging apps. You can tweak him, put clothes on him, and to do whatever. a lot of stuff to tweak for that guy. So we are done with that fun feature as well. It's time for the S Pen. So this little baby can now get juiced up for about 40 minutes of use in about 30 seconds. So compared to the predecessor, this new S Pen has its own battery and also has Bluetooth. Now the new thing about it is that you can use it as a remote. For example, imagine you're in the gallery, you're browsing around the photos, and now you can do something like this: single press next item or double press previous item. And that's only one of the things you can do. You can do the same for a PowerPoint presentation. You're in a room, you're presenting your project to your mates, and you're moving the slides like this. You can also do next page or previous page in Chrome. That's only one example. And I guess that we should be able to activate the camera. And there are more features which you can find here. Here we go, Manage S Pen. You got here the option to take a picture, single press. Okay, so we go to the camera here and try to pull off a selfie maybe. Here we go. Take a picture. I just did. Double press, switch camera. So it's a remote control for your camera, for your gallery as you saw before, and for your playbacks. So let's say I go to the gallery again and try and play a video or something like that. Play, and guess what? Play, pause. Press it once, pause. Press it again, moves. Press it once, pause, and then it moves again. So that's the remote feature everybody's talking about. This stylus here has its own battery and Bluetooth. It feels and looks the same as before. I cannot say there are many changes design-wise, and the functionality remains basically the same except for the remote control thing. Now, you saw the palette before. I'm not going to insist very much on it. There are the same features from last year, give or take a few features. Now, create a note. Pretty self-explanatory. You simply start writing here something like buy milk. There are a variety of palettes here, so you can actually draw, scribble, write, and that's that. So that's create note. You can view notes. You can do smart select, so you can select a portion of the screen either as a lasso or other formats. And then you got screen write, which is pretty self-explanatory. Imagine you have to show your friends how to reach you at the subway station. You take a shot of the map and write meet me, horrible writing, meet me here, and put an arrow on that map. Only one example. Okay, now we go further. We got live message, which is something cute. So if you want to write something for someone, a special message, something like a happy birthday, a fancier happy birthday, you can start from scratch first. So you can maybe pick something red and say go Cubs, and then you can animate it. Go Cubs, with a horrible writing of mine. Or you can try a new format. You can make it slimmer. You can make it trigger snowflakes and say hi babe. Okay, and then play it. Hi babe. Of course, if you actually press better and trigger more points, it will be a bit more convincing. Okay, that's another one of the features. You can actually make it an MP4, send it to your friends. You got translate, which actually translates in real time by hovering the pen. You got pen up, which is a community of drawers and sharers. You got glance, which basically lets you open a window that you have minimized so you can look at it. You got coloring, which is a part of pen up. You got Bixby Vision, which tells you what's happening on the screen, what an icon is, what a piece of the interface is, and so forth. And you can even add more things here. So I can get rid of coloring, remove, and I can actually replace it with these babies. Lots of features. Got screen write, live message, translate, pen up, glance, view notes. So this has been it in a nutshell. Feels very similar to the Galaxy Note 8's pen, but with the extra of being a remote control and of having the APIs open to the developer so they can make new features. Now, when the screen is off, you can actually take this baby out and write on the standby screen. So something like buy milk. Okay, so that's a note, and you can save it and you can keep scrolling, like go home and next page and so forth. You'll have an entire series of pages written quickly on the standby screen. I am done pretty much with the pen. I think I convinced you what the novelty is and what's happening here. Okay, unlock the phone, and you also have a magnifying glass feature. And let's talk a bit about the edge panels, the curved edges. You can add shortcuts here. You've known them for a few years now, and it's time to talk about the applications. I counted them. There's 40 of them. You got your Microsoft apps here: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, LinkedIn. You got your Samsung apps. You got their own store, Galaxy apps. You got the Galaxy wearable. You got pen app. You got internet. You got smart things. You got the voice recorder, email, my files, you name it. And you have smart things that you can use to control smart devices around the house. You got Facebook, gallery, contacts, clock, play music, Samsung Notes, which keeps your stuff here and the stuff you're scribbling around. And also you can sync it and sync notes from previous devices. So, oh, by the way, I forgot, this phone plays nicely with the DeX experience without requiring a DeX pad. Yes, you can hook it up to a monitor, you can hook it up to a keyboard and a mouse without needing a DeX pad, and that's kind of cute. Now I guess it's time to do the verdict for the phone, and for that I'm going to bring on my trusted helper, the other handset. Okay, so here we are, it's time for the verdict. Now, we're dealing here with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 in two versions at gsnhome.com. So, on the pro side, we have an excellent battery for sure. Almost 16 hours of video playback is excellent. And also we have a top 3 camera for 2018. Lots of storage, 512 gigabytes. Is excellent, plus micro SD. It's a very powerful gaming device and a powerful phone in general. It can do DeX without being hooking up to a special pad. It has the best stylus on the market when it comes to phones. To be honest, not much competition here. It's got a pretty solid screen, even though not as bright as an iPhone X1. And other than that, I would say it's got a premium build for sure. It looks sexy. It's got good acoustics, stereo acoustics, and also the micro SD and audio jack matter. So those are the pros, and obviously the stylus and its features aren't matched by any smartphone on the market. On the cons side, let's face it, it's not a big jump from the Galaxy Note 8, so there's no reason to switch to it this year. I've seen better selfies on other phones. It's a massive and heavy phone, not for everyone. iPhone X is much brighter screen-wise. I've seen better speakers, basically I've heard better speakers, I've heard better headphones. It's got a pretty long charge, almost 2 hours. If you compare that to the Asus Zenfone 5Z or the OnePlus 6, it clearly loses. And it's certainly not a low light champion, even though it's quite good in that regard. So overall, this phone is a must-have if you must have the best on the market. Now, the best on the market will be too much for you, so frankly speaking, it's sort of a sin to buy this phone for Fortnite and not use the pen. So it's a phone for business managers, for entrepreneurs, for CEOs, for people who actually cannot live without the pen. Otherwise, you're just wasting money on something that's too good for you. If you buy an ultra powerful gaming PC, it's fine, you can also do office on it. If you buy an ultra powerful phone, you're basically wasting the stylus if you're only gaming or Fortnite. Nobody stops you from gaming, and it's actually good for that. It has a lot of storage, it has a top 3 camera, it's got a sexy design, but the massive design is an acquired taste. So overall, a pretty small upgrade from the Note 8. I would say a pretty big upgrade from the Galaxy S9 Plus and S9. You can actually feel it more than last year, perhaps. And depends on what you want. A snappy sports car, which is the S9, or an SUV with everything on board, which is this one here, Galaxy Note 9. You choose snappy sports car or SUV, but one thing is for sure, one of the best cameras on the market in 2018 and the best stylus experience on a phone ever. This is it from gsnhome.com. The longest, most in-depth review has been done for the Galaxy Note 9. Bye bye.